Hey, welcome to the Backyard Blitz.
All right.
It's Super Bowl week, fellas. I can't believe that happened so fast. I'm ready to go. I'm still licking my wounds. I'm still a little salty, but I'm coming around, fellas. I'm coming around.
You're not the only one who's a little salty. Apparently, the whole 49ers. I never heard of a group of grown men cry, grown professional athletes cry more than the 49ers have been crying for the past week and a half. They're doing national interviews saying, "Oh, it's a shame we didn't get the play." Like,
it is,
dude. Just own it, man. Just, like,
they do.
It's embarrassing.
It sucks.
It's embarrassing.
These guys.
Okay, it's one thing being a fan and going on your little pity party, but when you're an actual member of the team and you're going around doing interviews, salty about we didn't get a fair shake, and if this didn't happen, then we would have beat them. Well, come on, dude. It's over. You guys got your butts kicked. Just stop already.
Drew.
Anyway,
see, that's why I'm like, you need to have a team for these kind of moments, because then you'd understand a little bit more. Hey, I do have something. This is breaking news. I don't know if you guys ever have heard this before. Did you guys know that the Amish have a lottery system? Do you know about this?
I heard about it.
Did you? Well, the jackpot's up to 5 dozen eggs now, guys. So
nice.
It's Super Bowl week, guys, and we're going to talk a ton about the Super Bowl.
No, he's not wearing Niners clothes.
I'm not.
I'm proud of him. And I was supposed to wear a suit and tie too, and
you were.
I didn't think anybody else was going to do it, but here I stand, broken-hearted. What? No, that's not the wrong side.
Hardly working is what it was. Hardly working. But so today, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to really dive into it, and I can't wait for that. But, the NFL Honors is on Saturday, and this is when the NFL crowns their, awards for the year. And it just wouldn't seem right if we didn't have our own award segment. So I got all dressed up. I got out of my Niner gear. I put my tie on, kind of remembered how to do it. It's still not looking the best, but I'm ready to get into this, boys.
You
guys
forgot how to clip it?
I did forget how to clip it. I wish I had a clip on, to be honest with you. It'd be a lot easier.
Hey, we're not going to talk about our weeks first?
How was your week, Drew?
We're just jumping right into it. My week was great, Brandon. Thank you for asking. Let me tell you something. You're looking at the newest... Never mind, I'm not even
you can't even do it with a straight face.
No, I got a new job at work. I got a promotion. I start next week. Blah blah blah.
That's what's up.
That's good, man.
Yeah. You're looking at. I'm no
really?
longer.
What are you going to be doing?
Yeah, I'm no longer security guard, Drew. I'm now Secretary Drew. So, yes, I am a trailblazer of sorts, setting the trails for male secretaries all across America. So, if you believe you can do it, you sure can.
That's all, and it explains why you're not wearing the shirt and tie, because you definitely got the skirt underneath the microphone.
Skirt underneath you, little scumbag.
I love being on this show. I get to find out about my son's life on the Blitz Nation.
That's awesome. It's great.
That one was in the back pocket for a little. It's been in the works.
No, that's great, man. Congratulations. That's awesome. Slick, what do you got going on now? We kind of announced it last week, a little, about your coaching move, but you guys have been putting together a staff. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, like I was telling OG, basically bringing some of the guys that was with me at Sarasota, and some other guys that I'm familiar with that I've either coached with or I know personally that played ball at a high level and did some coaching as well. Since we've been posting, we only made 4 announcements so far. We have 3 other coaches that we're going to announce a little bit later. But so far, like, the city is been buzzing. They did an article today in the Sarasota Herald Tribune about us, which I didn't know. I just saw it on Twitter.
That's dope.
So we've been buzzing, trying to make some noise, man.
That's good, Rick. Me and Brandon are just sitting here getting crapped on by our parents, but.
We are, yeah. My mom's over here in the comments just roasting me. I did talk to her earlier today, so I don't know what she's talking about.
I literally just FaceTimed my mom before we did this. Don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't think your mother was the one busting your chops. It was your father.
Prophet, I see you got the sport jacket with the Harley Davidson underneath. It says, I'm formal, but I'm also here to ride / party.
I'm ready to roll.
There you go. I love it,
Ready
man.
to roll, man.
You have a good week?
I had a great week. I have a new, with no football this past week, I had to find something to do with my money, and I started betting. I started playing the college hardwood, and it's been pretty lucrative. It's nice.
Nice.
You just got to make sure you're.
Yeah,
you got to make sure you're on the right side of the fix because there's a lot of that going on. Vegas, baby.
Yeah. I think college basketball is a pretty decent sport to get into betting wise. Usually, if there's a big favorite, they win a lot of times. It kind of goes true to form a lot.
I'll tell you what. When we started this, and Rick was talking about Vegas at the beginning, like we all laughed, but as the season went on, especially Championship Sunday. I was thinking about him the whole time. I was like, I think he's on something here.
Yeah, listen, I've been
Sunday's a huge day. Yeah, Sunday. I mean, hell, yeah, okay, yeah. I know. She's giving me a hard. Sundays, I'm celebrating my 41st anniversary.
Hey,
and the Super Bowl is Sunday also. It's funny, me and Mrs. Prophet were reminiscing this, the past week. Wow, 41 years. And she said to me, you remember the time when Slinger was like 4 years old and you had to sit him down and tell him that it's okay to accidentally poop your pants? And he hasn't let me live that down to this day. But, that
wasn't that long ago. I think I was like 20-something. Anyway.
It's definitely when we're in Germany.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. It's only fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it happened there, too.
Hey, that food, when you first get over there, I remember it messed my stomach up to get used to it. I remember that. Well,
What's
guys,
going on with you, BP?
Man, just same old stuff, really. It's another week. I'm starting to get around. It took me a long time to get around to studying up on this game, and about Monday, I'm like, oh man, I better crack down to it. So I did a lot of studying that. I'm interviewing I have a second interview for a job tomorrow. I'm really excited about.
Nice.
So I'll keep you guys posted on that. It'd be a little bit of a pay bump and a move that I've been trying to do for about 5 years. So we'll see. It's just at a different company, but yeah, I appreciate that, guys. But I'm excited to talk about these awards that we're going to give out. I haven't done that on the show before, and Drew, I got to give you the praise for it because this was your idea.
Yeah.
And I'm super pumped to go through each of us.
I'm a good co-host.
Yeah, you are. Fantastic. I love it.
Before we get into awards, I personally didn't watch any football this weekend.
Did you guys watch the Pro Bowl at all? Nothing?
Not a second. I mean, they've been playing flag football for 5-6 years now in the Pro Bowl. It's just this year they wore flags. So, did anybody watch it? And if so, was it anything?
I seen a couple of highlights. I didn't watch it though. I forgot it came on, to be honest with you.
I actually think that from what I gathered on social media it was a little bit more well received than the actual Pro Bowl game itself, because everybody knew what it was going in. It was a skills competition. It was fun. It was light. It was friendly. It wasn't making a mockery of
football,
an actual game. So I think for what it was, like, they had like an NBA dunk contest type thing where they had like the best catch.
So like a catch?
Best catch. They had, obstacle courses for the offensive linemen, just different stuff. And I think it was, like I said, everybody knew what they were getting going into it. And I think the guys actually tried.
Yeah.
Versus not trying, during a game. So.
Did you guys see Derek Carr? So he had this interview, and he went off in like the skills competition or whatever. It's amazing what you can do when you don't have a rush in your face. I'm just saying. But he said I can't remember who it was. I think it was Ryan Clark goes, "Hey man, you went off on that. Like, you feel pretty good going into this?" And Derek says, Yeah, man, if I would have been that hot in Vegas, I guess I'd be staying here, wouldn't I? Like something
Yes.
like that. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I saw something like that. He got a lot of those candid comments this weekend from a few different guys. So that was kind of fun. Like I said, I didn't watch it, but if I went back and made it a point to, I would probably enjoy it more than actually watching the original, Pro Bowl game.
Yeah, I was busy watching paint dry.
Well, and I think like it's hard to have an all-star football game where you're injuries and all that stuff.
Yeah,
a flag football game makes
it
it fun and all that stuff. But
I get it. I get the Pro Bowl. I get the guys not wanting to play. But
yeah,
we got a lot to get into, man.
We do. So we're gonna
have
start
like
off...
an opening intro credits or anything. Like, do we have a host?
Yeah, I wish that I did. I wish we had like the Dundies, Michael Scott coming on or whatever. But we're going to get into our end of season awards here. And the first one that we're going to go into, and I'm sure that we're going to have a lot to talk about, right? The Oscar music. You keep my wife's name out here. Just kidding. We're going Offensive Player of the Year first up.
Offensive. Damn it. I had it in the order that you gave us. Now I have to jump all over.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
it's
my
literally...
God.
One shifted down just a little ways. But we can't start off with MVP, Drew. We can't do that. So we're going to start off with Offensive Player of the Year. And since you might not be totally prepared, you have to just look one line down, Drew. We'll start it off with the Prophet first. Make you get your stuff in order. And Prophet, I'd love to hear your take on Offensive Player of the Year and why you're selecting this player.
Okay. My Offensive Player of the Year. Why I'm selecting him: 41 TDs, 308 yards a game, 67% completion rate, 14-3 record. And he just happens to be playing this Sunday in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, all right. I like it. Congratulations. Got the Prophet's Offensive Player of the Year. I'm not sure that there's a more prestigious award out there in all of sports. Let's move it on to Slick. What do you got, man? Your Offensive Player of the Year for the 2022 season.
I went with Justin Jefferson.
Ooh, I thought about him, man. I thought about
What?
JJ. Hey!
What?
Hey! Justin Jefferson.
Come on, man.
Come on, let's go. Tell me about him. Why Justin Jefferson? Why JJ?
Just the highlights throughout the year, the season that he had last year, and everybody thought it was a fluke. And he came back and went over 1,000 again this year, over 1,100. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know he went over 1,100 again this year. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he had double digits in touchdowns as well. He's a game changer.
He's a beast, man.
He's a game changer. Like every time somebody tried to double team him, or he might have had a quiet first half or whatever the case may be, second half, if they needed him to come through, next thing you know, he finished the game with over 100 yards and like one or two key touchdowns or whatever the case may be. Like, he time and time again, like, he's just, I can't take anything from him.
Definitely a playmaker.
Would you say that he's the best receiver in football right now, Slick? Is it, like, you putting that stamp on him, or what do you think?
What are you asking that question off of? Based off of stats? Based off of my opinion, or what?
Just your opinion of him, like, over the first couple years of his career. Do you think that, like, going now into the 2023 season, would you say that he's wide receiver one in the entire National Football League, or you just think that he had a good season?
I don't know if I can give him number one receiver in the league.
Who would it be?
That's a hard question.
I'll do it for you, Slick. Yes, he's the number one receiver in the league.
You were waiting. I saw it just build up, and you're like, I can't take it anymore.
It's because, like, you still got Chase.
Yeah.
You got Chase.
What
you got
about
Adams.
Hill?
You got
I think
Adams.
Tyreek Hill
Like,
is big
Tyreek
time.
Hill. Like, you got guys that's been doing it longer. So, like, when it comes to asking if he's the best receiver in the game right now, it's other guys that's been doing it that have a bigger body of work.
That's fair.
As far as this year, I would say yes. I would give it to him. As far as this year, I would give it to him, just because he did what he did last year as his third year, second year?
I think it's his. Is this his second year already?
Second, right? Him and
year?
Chase, this is his second year, right? Or is it third?
I think it's
That's his third.
Jefferson's third year,
Yeah.
Chase's second year. Yeah.
just based off of what he did last year. Like I said, everybody thought it was a fluke, and then on top of that, like in the Vikings organization, he already did numbers that Randy Moss did his rookie year. And first 3 years, and that's crazy to me. I mean, yes, it's a passing league now, but still, like
with Kirk Cousins, man.
Yeah, with
Kirk
Kirk Cousins.
You're the wide receiver on the show, man. I had to know what your opinion was since he was your offensive player of the year. I had to know. Now, Drew, you've been waiting patiently. I see you over there. Your face hasn't quite turned in red yet, so I think we're okay. Offensive player of the year, who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with everything that Rick said, and it's Justin Jefferson. That was my offensive player of the year. So it really was. I had Justin Jefferson as my offensive player of the year was Justin Jefferson. I figure Ricky always agrees with me, so I was going to agree with him.
I love it. That was nice.
Yeah, I thought he had. I'm not going to sit here and beat a dead horse, but dude, he had a great year, and he went out there and dominated in the plays that he's making on the field. Not a lot of other guys are making. So 1,800 yards, and he had 8 touchdowns on 184 targets and 128 receptions. Man, just dominant player when he's on the field. And to answer your question, I do believe that he is the number 1 receiver in the league right now.
I like it. And if Keita, you're listening, we don't beat dead horses here. Oh, only if they're the Denver Broncos. That was this whole season. And that's true.
You didn't see what they did to our horse. You didn't see what they did to our horse.
We sent her to the glue factory.
No, we didn't. She's on the farm.
Canceled. All right, my offensive player of the year, guys. This is a guy that threw for 22 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, ran for 760 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns rushing, okay? The most by any quarterback in a single season, and that's Jalen Hurts. Guys, Jalen Hurts had a tremendous season. Offensively, he threw the ball well. He ran the ball really well. He had more touchdowns than any other quarterback in history. I got to give it up to him, man. Jalen Hurts is my offensive player of the year.
I could probably throw more touchdowns in the NFL than Jalen Hurts did this season, but that's just...
Well, they run a lot, but what he does with his legs, what he does with his arm, I think it's...
I was high on Jalen Hurts. He was in my contention for a lot of these awards, and then I look at his numbers, I'm like, huh? Like, other than
look at him combined. Well, all right, so we got 2 Justin Jeffersons. We got a Jalen Hurts and we got a Patrick Mahomes. I think they're all worthy.
Track of this?
Yeah, I like it.
Are we keeping track of this though for to see?
You want to make some bets? I know. I see that glimmer in your eye. I'll definitely keep track of it.
Just for next week's show, so we can give us something to talk about.
I got it down. Okay. You got it down.
Luckily, Prophet, I don't know if you know, but these shows are recorded. You could watch them back so we can get any information that we need at a later time.
What, Saturday shows pre-recorded?
What?
He forgot to take his Alzheimer's medicine. I hate when that happens. Defensive player of the year, guys. The players that are set out to stop these amazing offensive players. And we'll start it off with Drew this time, so you're ready to go. I see you're ready to roll. And before anybody can steal yours, who's your defensive player of the year this year?
This was tough for me, BP, because I'm scouring the stat sheets, and I'm like, man, who really stood out to me, watching all these games this year? And there was always one name that I would go back to, but I'm like, was he really worthy of defensive MVP? And I go back and I look at the stats, and it's not so much one stat that stands out from the rest. It's a blend. It's a combination. And I go back and look, and I'm like, holy crap. This guy's got 65 tackles, 13 and a half sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. My defensive player of the year is the Dallas Cowboys linebacker, Micah Parsons. The threat on the field, you always got to be aware of where he's at. He really dominant player on the Cowboys defense.
What do you end up with? 16 sacks, something like that. 15 and a half. 13 and a half sacks.
Yeah, and a nice tackle to sack ratio.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys
gets a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of hurries, QB hurries.
Yeah, no, I like it. Okay, Micah Parsons, that's good. All right, let's go on with Slick. Who's your defensive player of the year?
Stat wise, he wasn't really like off the charts like Parsons, but I just feel like he's been doing it so consistently since he's been in the league. He's always been considered an underdog, undersized, and he's kind of like been playing in the shadows of his older brother. but he's always been like a big playmaker for his team whenever they need him. I went with TJ Watt.
Or I like it. TJ Watt. He's a but for the whole year, he wasn't hurt for most of the season, right?
Yeah, he was hurt for most of the season, but the way he came back, when he came back, and the impact that he had for the Steelers, like it was. I just put it like whenever I vote or choose a guy, I don't just go off of like a game or two. Like I go off of what he did throughout that season, how he impacted the game, how he impacted the team, on top of what he did the year before. That's how I do it.
I got you. Okay. I like it. What do you got, Prophet? Oh, hey, there we go.
Yeah,
Let's get a little festive in here.
Dramatic here.
Yeah, I like it. Who you got? Who's your defensive player of the year?
Okay. This year's Defensive Player of the Year, third in the league in total tackles, 3 interceptions, 4.5 sacks, 6 pass defenses, and did all this with 2 different teams. I'm going with Roquan Smith.
Good pick.
Roquan is a beast.
Yeah.
That guy is an absolute animal, man. He's an absolute animal.
I was looking at him. He was almost made my final cut.
See, and I like the 2 picks ahead of me, and I know that it seems like every year the sack guys get this award, but I don't know. I like them linebackers, man. That they're in on every play, and
yeah.
And guys linebackers that can make tackles and get sacks, and this guy, got picks this year too.
That's an interesting point too, Prophet, because you go through and you look at all these guys, and and I don't know who BP picked yet, and we'll find out here in a second. But you go through and you look at all these defensive players who's got 150 plus tackles, and then you look at their sacks, and they're about 2, maybe 3 sacks. I don't know why that is, and I wish we had a linebacker guru in this.
Yeah, it's just when you take them when you blitz them, right? Like they're not blitzed and going after the quarterback like the edge rushers are, so they don't get the opportunities. But for Roquan Smith, if you look at his numbers, 4.5 sacks, which leads, I think, all the off the ball linebackers. You had 169 tackles. 103 of those were solo. 11 tackles for loss, which is huge for an off ball linebacker. 4 quarterback hits. So he had 6 pass defense. So, I mean, he's right there. I do like that. He's a dynamic playmaker on defense. You got to know where he is, and he can rush the passer as well. So I like that. Roquan Smith made a big impact with the teams that he played. He played on.
Good pick there, Profi.
I like it. Well, guys,
thank you.
I thought that on this one that we were actually going to double up on it because I got Nick Bosa. He's 18.5 sacks this year, but the thing that gets me is 19 of those are tackles for loss. He's got 51 tackles and 48 QB hits. So when you stack that up against like edge rushers, right? The next closest to him from 48 was Max Crosby at 35. So not only is he getting the sacks, but he's constantly right there. So that number could be exponentially higher. Like he's always right around that. That you have to game plan for him. But Nick Bosa, for the first time in his career, I feel like got those sack numbers, was healthy all season. So for that, the type of player that he is, I got Nick Bosa as my defensive player of the year.
BP, you weren't really concerned about me being one of the guys who's doubling up on that pick, right?
Well, when you started talking, I was like, sack numbers, okay. And then as soon as you said the other stats, I was like, okay, I can see where you're going. But I like your pick. I mean, I can see you can make an argument for Micah Parsons for sure. I think all the guys that we talked about, you can make a legit argument for. But sack leader, 18.5. Next closest was 16, was Myles Garrett. I think we go with I'm going to go with Nick Bosa in my opinion. But now let's talk about rookies, okay? We never know what you're going to get from a rookie, when you draft him. It could be a 3rd round guy that makes it. A lot of hype is always on those 1st round guys. But let's start off with Slick here. I would love to know who your offensive rookie of the year was this year.
I went with Justin Fields.
He's not a rookie.
He's not?
Justin Fields, huh? He was a rookie the year before. He's a 2nd-year guy.
Oh, I don't have one there.
We'll go to let's go to Drew real quick. Drew.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm gathering my thought. Give me a second. Anyway, I look. There's one clear and obvious route you can go here, and I went away from it, because I just didn't want to make the clear and obvious pick. The one guy I will say that I enjoyed watching this year is as a rookie who I think is an explosive player who it will be a game changer. I think, as time goes on and as he gets a, better quarterback and stuff like that. Chris Olave, I think he was a 1,000-yard receiver this year. He only had 4 touchdowns, but again, doesn't have a whole lot, at the quarterback position, I don't think right now. And like I said, just one of those dudes who you turn on the TV and you're watching the game and you notice guys that stand out. And he was one of the guys who stood out to me. So he gets my offensive rookie of the year this year.
And that's hard for a receiver to do, from what I've been hearing as far as, rookie receivers coming out and making an impact. There's so many things that go into it, getting chemistry with their quarterback. And in New Orleans, it was kind of all over the place, whether it was Winston or Taysom Hill or Andy Dalton even. So Chris Olave, absolute beast. Prophet, who you got, man?
Chris Olave, if you've got him on your fantasy team and you're in a keeper league, yeah, you better keep him.
If you got him on your roster, get him in there.
Yeah,
that's Prophet's line of the year.
Well, okay, yeah, Slinger didn't go with the obvious, but my offensive rookie of the year, he did not play in 2 games at all this year. He didn't become the starter until week 6. He got hurt early in week 13 against the Rams when he had 3 rushes for 36 yards. Still ended up with 1,215 total yards and 9 TDs. He essentially played in 11 games this year. Kenneth Walker.
I thought long and hard about Kenneth Walker.
I didn't go with. I mean, clearly.
was that the one that you were talking about?
Yeah, that was the one I was alluding to. Sure, yeah. I mean, he had a great year, and I don't think there's any question that he's offensive rookie of the year. That's why his odds are so low on Vegas right now. But
yeah, there's a guy that he's going to be competing with. There's a guy that he's going to be competing with when that award comes out, and this guy that I'm going to name already was named the Fox Sports Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he didn't play a full season either. And now this one, the reason I'm picking him is kind of the level of difficulty with it. I looked through a lot of the receivers. I honestly think if Breece Hall would have played a full season, I think it would have been hands down Breece Hall because of the type of season that he was going to have. So I think he's going to come back strong next year, and I'm excited to watch him. But my guy is Mr. Irrelevant. It's Brock Purdy. To think about a guy coming in as the type of where he was drafted, and for everything to happen around him, and to have that the record and the stats.
Yep, he went with Purdy.
Hey, I'm not the only one. I mean, you laugh.
Stop. Yeah, I know. Stop. Oh, hey, I thought I turned my mic off.
You laugh, but take a look at these stats in the games that he played. He was 7-1 as a starter. That includes the postseason. 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,374 yards. For a quarterback to come in there, most of the time you think about quarterbacks, they have a tough. I was looking at Kenny Pickett too, because Kenny Pickett also he's kind of having an up and down year.
You see his ratio is bad.
It was bad. But when you take a look at Brock Purdy and you see, these quarterbacks that are in these. We watched Trevor Lawrence struggle his rookie year. We've seen all these. Justin Fields struggle his rookie year, and for him to come in and do that, the level of difficulty. He's my offense rookie. There was no clear standout like Kenneth Walker. Yes, 1,200 yards rushing, fantastic. I think you got to put Purdy in that conversation. The only thing against him is that he didn't get a chance to play for a full season. I would love to see what that body of work would look like, but that's what I'm going to go with.
About Trey Lance.
No, I want to see what he. I don't know if you saw his interview today, but I thought. You want to talk about a young man with a great head on his shoulder. So he's on the Rich Eisen show today, and they were talking about,
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. and now BP's frozen. because we can't take any more 49ers picks is what it really comes down to.
Oh, yeah. But Trey Lance said that he wanted the opportunity to compete with him, and what Brock did was really impressive, and he doesn't want anything handed to him. And I thought that was a really cool answer for him. But let's move on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. There was a lot of studs on the defensive side of the ball in their first year in the league. There was one stands out in my mind. I'm going to go first this time, boys.
Good.
Okay, I'm going to go first because I want to see if you guys agree with me. And I think the clear and obvious one.
We don't agree with little Troy.
Sauce Gardner, 20 passes defensed in his first year, basically being the number one corner in a really tough division with all those wide receivers out there. He had 2 interceptions. I think Sauce Gardner had a tremendous first year as a corner in the National Football League, and he's going to go as my Defensive Rookie of the Year. Go ahead there, Drew.
Go ahead. So I'm going to go with somebody who had more interceptions than Sauce Gardner. With 3 interceptions. Oh, wait, he also added 52 tackles and 9.5 sacks, and that's Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson was hands down the most dominant rookie, one of the most dominant defensive players in the league, let alone being a rookie, and he had 3 interceptions from the defensive line position.
Didn't he say that he's never had an interception before in his life, and he had 3 in the league? I thought that was pretty cool.
And a couple of fumble recoveries too.
Sauce was my first pick, and then I looked and I was like, I'm gonna research Aiden Hutchinson because I just remember watching him and just being like, oh my God, this guy is a beast, and he just took it over for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Aiden Hutchinson, absolutely, that's a great pick. Slick.
That's who I went with.
You went with Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah, with Aiden Hutchinson. I was going to go with Sauce Gardner, but I mean, he like you said, he did what he was supposed to do as a rookie corner for his first year. If he would have had 5 picks, then I might have went with him.
Yeah,
only 2, and he had a bunch of PBUs, which is not bad work, but the hype that they put on him, I would expect for him to have more interceptions. Like Drew just said, the fact that Hutchinson had 3 INTs as a DN, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
And I think, like what Ricky just said, like he did what was Sauce is a great corner, but he did what was expected of him. He didn't do anything above and beyond the job description, and I think Hutchinson did. So that's why I think
no, that's fair.
He should get them out there.
No, that's fair. Prophet, who you got, man?
What them 2 guys said.
So we got 3 Aiden Hutchinsons, 1 Sauce Gardner. I like it, man. Those were some. I think the level of difficulty on the outside for Sauce, and then you think about transitioning over as an edge rusher. I mean, these offensive linemen are technicians with their technique, and for him to have that type of production and that type of impact for a team that really needed him to have that, I think that is huge. So that's a really great pick, you guys. Let's move on to Comeback Player of the Year. So let's go with, now this one's tough, right? Because it could come back for many different reasons, right? A season-ending injury, whatever it may be, different, had a really bad year the year before, came back and had a really stellar year. Let's start off with, all right, Slick, we're going to start off with you this time. Starting with you. Comeback Player of the Year. Who you got?
Geno Smith.
Hey.
Good pick,
That was a good
Slick.
one.
Right.
Great pick, Slick.
Yeah, Geno Smith. Just with his with 30 touchdowns, 11 INTs. I mean, his QBR was 60.7, and he threw for almost 5,000. Like, the fact that he had been, he was out of the league at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the fact that he just, I can't remember the last time he actually started as a starting quarterback.
I thought the whole offseason that they were going to move off of him, and I was just waiting for it to happen. When they rolled into week 1 with him, I was like, okay, it's Geno Smith. But then for him to have the type of season that he did, I think was awesome.
He did. He definitely had a crazy season. I think, honestly, I think his situation was one of those situations that us as fans and ex-players talk about all the time, when the NFL tries to kind of like rush either a quarterback or a running back or somebody in a position to kind of like be the face of the franchise a little too early. And in reality, they need a few years to kind of like sit back behind someone, learn the game, get used to the speed of the game.
Well, he had 14.
Like, but some people it takes longer.
I know.
And then you gotta think about the system that he played in that West V. It didn't really translate over or transition over to the NFL play. Like it was quick, fast. Because what was Rodriguez the OC when he was there, or the head coach when he was there?
I think it was.
Sure.
I think at West Virginia, I think it had to be.
So they play that fast tempo, fast spread like type offense, which I mean, you know, at the time when he got to the NFL was completely different.
Well, and to your point there, Slick, Geno Smith has had a rocky go of it in the NFL. I think at one point, didn't he have his jaw broken by a player at the Jets?
Yeah.
Something about he owed some money or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just never really kind of fit in a spot. And then it just seemed like this was a great fit for him scheme-wise. I think coach-wise with Pete Carroll, the type of energy that he brings. So I love that pick, Slick.
I think Geno Smith's season this year can be compared to like Barry Bonds going from like 30 home runs to like 72 home runs over in one season, something like that. So it's like, where the hell did it come from? And what kind of PEDs
What are
is
you
he
saying,
on?
Drew?
Yeah,
what
kind of
Drew? It's how people
PEDs is
get
he
in
on?
trouble.
Yep.
It's how people get in trouble. Well, speaking of Drew, what do you got, man? Who's your comeback player of the year?
You mentioned it, BP. You know, it could be for numerous reasons, comeback player of the year, whether it be injury or poor performance. My comeback player of the year is a guy who's in his second year and had a really poor freshman year, and the hopes were very high. The bar was very high for this young man, and he did not live up to that hype, and people were down on him, myself included, about to write him off until he turned the corner and righted the ship. And my comeback player of the year is Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
if you would have told me back in November that you were going to have him,
I'll tell you what, he shut me up, and I wish the Niners could have done the same, but they didn't. But Trevor Lawrence shut me up, and he made me eat my words, and I am proud of him, and I'm just so damn happy for him.
Nice. I like it. There's a lot of pressure on him, and I think, you know, a big thing is having the right coach there. Doug Peterson believes in him, and you could just see him grow throughout the course of the season. And it wasn't all, you know, sunshine and rainbows for you Philly people. It was he had to go through a lot of stuff, and there was a rough point in this year, and he got to the playoffs, which was fantastic, and then led a 27-point comeback over the Chargers. So I love that pick, Drew. How about you, Prophet? Who you got, man?
Hey, Slick, I drove past a store yesterday that said there was a sign out front that said "Watch for Children." I thought that was a pretty fair trade. What do you think?
Oh my God! Cancel.
Nah. Okay. Well, I'm going with Slick.
What did you say?
He's going with Geno.
I'm going with Geno. Yeah, I mean, over and above everything that Slick said, you know, he also took this team to the playoffs this year too. You know, to add to that resume.
And there wasn't a lot of people, including us, that picked them to win over 5 games.
I picked them to win one.
Prophet.
I picked them to
Prophet,
win one.
can I just say this? During the season, you were all gung-ho about not picking the obvious choices for your fantasy picks, and now you're going to go with Geno Smith. Where's the surprise? I'm expecting more surprise out of you.
Well, I don't want to say somebody else, and when I got my money on my picks, you know, it's like
there it is.
I got you.
Okay.
I'm waiting for some guy to come out of right field and be like, "What?" And then you just drop crazy stat line on us.
I mean, I got one. We still got 12 picks to go here. So.
Oh man. Well, my comeback player of the year. This is somebody that, when you go into a fantasy football season, it's like the last couple years, like you're wanting to stay away from him, you know. And you could bring up like Saquon Barkley, you know, Christian McCaffrey was part of that. But for McCaffrey to come in this year, play for the Panthers, and have 1,880 total yards and play a full season for NFL comeback player of the year, I think to me I would be shocked if on Saturday that he didn't get that award because of the impact that he had for not only the Panthers, because he was the only guy with the Panthers, but then you see the impact that he had for a contending football team, and to have that with all the injuries that he's had, which was my concern when the trade happened. That was the only thing I was really worried about. I thought about Saquon, but Christian McCaffrey's numbers were far and above what Saquon had, but Saquon was in that conversation for me. And quite honestly, I'm happy for both of those guys to get rid of some of those injuries. So let's move on.
Have you? Is nobody going to mention it? Is nobody going to mention it?
What are you talking about?
3 Niners so far. Are you kidding me?
What are you talking about, Drew? Are you saying that they shouldn't have those? Brandon, they're all in the conversation in the NFL honors. They're all nominees. God. They're all nominees, Drew.
You're the worst by the week.
No, Drew, it's fine if they don't deserve it, but these guys deserve those awards. And matter of fact, probably 2 of the 3 are going to win them. 2 of the 3 are going to win them.
Brock going to win. Probably, is Brock going to win? No,
Brock's not going to win because he didn't play enough games. But that doesn't mean that he can't be mine. But Nick Bosa is going to be Nick Bosa is going to be your defensive player of the year, and Christian McCaffrey is going to be
Prophet Rick, we're going to take next week off, and BP's going to have his own show. It's going to be called Super Bowl Fallout with the 49ers predictions for 2023.
Hey, Drew, you can hate all you want, but this is just showing your lack of preparation looking at the stats and the facts. You say that you look at things unbiasedly. Mm-hmm. You're showing to the contrary, my friend. Okay.
Hey,
let's go to league
Keep
MVP.
Picking your Niners.
League
MVP, let me guess. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Go ahead there, Prophet.
You remember who called McCaffrey to be the top running back in the league this year? And
you did at the beginning. You did, and I still didn't believe you. I don't even know going into next year, going into fantasy football, if I can really pick him because I got to see him do it for a couple years, man. With how many injuries that he's had.
If he stays healthy, man, the guy's incredible.
Really, you got to see him do it for 1 week if he plays for the friggin' Niners.
No, you got to see him do it for a course of a season. 1,880 yards, Drew. You saying that he doesn't deserve that? 1,880 scrimmage yards. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Scrimmage yards.
League
MVP.
Okay. Yeah, rushing and receiving.
Yeah, I get it. I know what scrimmage yards means. Slap nuts.
Just making sure because
I know what scrimmage yards
having
means.
A hard
slap
time
nuts.
Let's go with league MVP. Let's start off with.
How we going?
Who you got?
We're going league MVP before all the other ones.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm old school. I think one goes hand in hand. The MVP has to, if it's an offensive player, it's got to be your offensive MVP. I went with Patrick Mahomes for this pick again. I mean, the guy, without Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City is not in the Super Bowl. They're probably a 10-win team at best.
Yeah.
The guy's phenomenal. He showed in the past couple of weeks.
Guy's off his rocker.
Off my rocker. They're literally in the conversation, Drew.
You know
Saturday, you'll see 2 of the 3 are going to win.
Let the other 2 take a break, and we're just going to have a steel cage match right now.
Slick, man, who you got? League MVP. I love the Patrick Mahomes pick. I absolutely do. You're absolutely right. You nailed hit the nail on the head, man. Who you got, Slick?
I went with Patrick Mahomes too. Not just based off his stats, because his stats were crazy too, regular season and postseason. Yeah. But just the fact of when Tyreek Hill left, everybody thought like the offense was going to kind of go down, and it didn't. Like it's kind of like they really didn't miss a step. Like he got in some new pieces. Schuster, what's the name?
Valdez-Scantling.
Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah.
Like he got some pieces that came in. And people were trying to figure, were kind of like, well, what is he going to do with it? Or is he going to make it work? How is it? Like, Hartman didn't even really play it that much this year. And
he got put on IR, too, for the Super Bowl. So
he did. That's what I'm saying. So, like, a lot of guys that made plays that did play, that were on the roster this year, they weren't even really factors. Like, they brought in, new guys, and he still threw for 5,000+ yards, 40-something touchdowns, still had crazy numbers.
Oh, for sure. No, Patrick Mahomes, are you going to make it a sweep here, Drew?
Well, I understand what Prophet, did by saying, oh, well, your league MVP is your offensive MVP. They go hand in hand, blah, blah, blah. But for the sake of good, interesting television, which is what we're trying to do here, Prophet, I changed my picks. And yes, I changed my offensive MVP to a different person. And yes, it happens to be Patrick Mahomes is the league MVP. We've already talked about him. we're 3 for 3 so far.
And we're going to go 4 for 4 because I was thinking about Jalen Hurts. So obviously offensive player of the year, that you take him out of that offense, that production that he has. That's why I had him there. But you talk about league MVP and what this guy, I mean, it's not even close. You know, you look at Mahomes, 41 touchdowns, 12 picks, but 5,250 passing yards. And I believe he was, let's see right here, 67% completion percentage. Just fantastic. That, and he drops back so many times. 435 completions out of 648 attempts. He's dropping back a lot. They don't rely on the run game like a lot of these other offenses do to balance things out. It's on Mahomes. And you know that going in. And he wins 13, 14 games every year. And he's sitting in that number 1 seed in the AFC. And he's going to his 3rd Super Bowl now. The respect that I have for him after Championship Sunday of playing on a high ankle sprain and not just standing there like a statue, but running around, taking some hits. And really, it was like a gladiator type of game. Like when he gets pushed out of bounds at the end and there's that 15-yard penalty, I almost just wanted to stand up and be like, are you not entertained? Like this guy's been making plays all day for his team. And hands down, I think it was going back and forth throughout the course of the year. You know, threw up there Josh Allen. Obviously, Jalen Hurts was in the conversation, but really in that last half of the season, I think Patrick Mahomes really separated himself from everybody else. And we got a consensus pick. I'm just going to savor this moment for a second. I agreed with Drew. Drew agreed with me. All is okay. All right.
I figured you were going to pick Deebo Samuel.
Jesus. You got to know me better, man. I'm legitimately picking these things. If they deserve it, they're going to be in there.
You are legitimately picking them. That's the problem.
Coach of the year. They deserve it. They're in the conversation.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Coach of the year. Let's start off with Slick.
Let's start off with you. You haven't gone first. You want to start off with me? Yes, we're going with you.
There's a handful of coaches that I think that are in the conversation. This. You think about Brian Daboll and him taking the Giants to the playoffs with the roster that they had last year going into this year and be able to compete. Think about a guy like Kyle Shanahan going through 3 different quarterbacks. Dan Campbell, for me, started off 1-6, guys. 1-6 with the Detroit Lions, a team that we didn't think was really going to compete that much. For them to be going into Week 18, to go into Lambeau, they had an opportunity to go to the playoffs, guys. To go to the playoffs, and Seattle knocked them out of that in the game before that. But they went into Green Bay, didn't care, and knocked Aaron Rodgers from going into the playoffs because Green Bay had to win that game. And Dan Campbell has my utmost respect, ending the season with a 9-8 record. To me, there's a handful of coaches that deserve it and do different things. But Dan Campbell, for what he went through in Detroit, the way that they started, I got Dan Campbell for my coach of the year.
That's a good pick. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Let's go with Prophet. Who you got?
11.
Prophet. Where we got? Coach of the year? Okay. Well, I'm going with a coach that I mentioned earlier. I thought they were going to have a 1 win this year. They lost their star offensive leader, their star defensive leader in the all season.
Well, I like this.
They lost a couple other guys to free agency. They lost a lot of guys to injury during the course of the year. And Bazooka Joe, was able to get his team into the playoffs. They were 7-10 last year, and he turned it around, and they were 9-8 in the playoffs. I'm going with Pete Carroll.
That's a great pick. We didn't expect a lot. Reference. Yeah, we didn't get.
He's always chewing gum.
Man, I'll tell you. I saw him live. He was.
Somebody would know.
He's chomps on that stuff for real. Like you can see him from like 50 yards out. Like I feel bad for the gum and his jaw.
I know.
That's funny.
Let's go with Slick, man. Who you got for your coach of the year?
Oh my God!
I'm going with my coach, Nick Sirianni. I'm going with my coach.
Yeah. I'm
Why not?
I'm so sick of seeing this dude's face.
Why not?
He embodies all that Philadelphia's about. He looks like a drunk drug addict. Blah, 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 blah. That's what they're saying. Philadelphia loves him. He looks like one of us. He looks like he's from the streets of Kensington.
Second year as a head coach, and he's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well,
When you look at that roster 2 years ago, and there was like I had no reason to think that they were going to go to the playoffs. And what he's done with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, like you've seen Jalen Hurts really turn the corner in his career, and all of a sudden be that guy. And it's hard to not say that.
Got a number one.
Can I say something?
He got a number one.
Can I say something? And this isn't, and you guys might not remember this because this was, when he was not, and I'm not. This is dead serious. He was not sold on Jalen Hurts as his starter last year.
No,
not this year.
Last year,
he was non-committal to Jalen Hurts. So for everybody to say, "Oh, what he's done with Jalen," dude, he was shopping Jalen at the beginning of last year. So I don't want to hear anybody say he's always, he's been his mentor,
I wouldn't say
his guiding light. And I'm not saying you are, but there are people are out there that's saying that. This dude was shopping Jalen Hurts 2 years ago. They wanted Russell Wilson, and they made a hard pass for Russell Wilson. So let's not forget that. My coach of the year is friggin' the guy who actually won a Super Bowl for the Eagles, Doug Peterson.
Wow.
This man starts...
Did you move to Jacksonville?
It's my time, Prophet, and I would appreciate not to be interrupted.
Oh.
Thank you. Start off 3-7. Nobody gave these guys a chance, myself included.
We didn't.
Listen, I got a lot of respect for what the Jaguars were able to do, and Peterson being able to rally the troops. And what they win? They won their last 7 out of 8 to make it to the playoffs, and then they go in and they beat a Chargers team after coming back from 20 point deficit or something.
27,
in a playoff game, 27 point deficit, and then they get the Chiefs a game.
Had an opportunity in that game. They did.
I am excited for the Jaguars. I'm excited to see what Doug Peterson will do from here on out. Doug Peterson is my coach of the year.
I thought for sure one of us was going to have Daboll, but I would say that we would probably agree, like honorable mention for what he did going into New York with that roster. Brian Daboll, awesome. So this one I'm really excited about, guys. Moment of the year, because there was a lot of them. But when you look back on the 2022 season, what's the moment that you really look back on and be like, that was an iconic moment of the 2022 season? And Drew, we'll just start with you, man.
Yeah, that's a good thing to start with me because I deserve this friggin' moment. And for moment of the year, my moment of the year comes back to December 26th, 2022. Might not stand out to you guys. It was a Monday. It was when the damn Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett, and they validated what I've been saying all season, that this guy sucks as a head coach. And they finally listened to me and got rid of his ass and the rest of the coaching staff of the Broncos. That was my moment of the year when all my predictions came to fruition. I've been saying it all year, and it finally came to light. When they fired their head coach, that was my moment of the year.
Oh, man. That's awesome. I think that for sure that's your moment of the year. Absolutely. From show
the moment of his life.
From show one, he was very critical about Nathaniel Hackett, and it just kept going. I love it, man.
Hey, PP, in 2020, in 2029, when I'm gone and you're still doing the show, he's going to say, "Remember December 26th, 2022."
2022. I remember this one time. Yeah. For sure. What Prophet? Who you got, man? What was your moment of the year this year when you look back?
Well, you know what? It seems kind of funny. I mean, we're falling into patterns here. Like, you're all San Fran. Slingers
No. I haven't been all San Fran.
Slingers all Jacksonville.
I've been three, and they're all in the conversation, guys.
I'm all Seattle. I go back to week 1, and
that was awesome.
The first Monday night game of the year, Seattle. Russell Wilson comes into town. Seattle beats them on Monday Night Football, and the craziness in which they beat them just set the tone for what I feel it was one of the absolute craziest years in football in recent memory.
It set it up because I don't think any of us, we didn't give Seattle a chance in that game. Everything was lined up of Russell Wilson's coming back to town. He's going to light him up and all that stuff, which kind of goes into what Drew was saying. That minute that Nathaniel Hackett runs off the clock to kick a super long field goal, the dumbest thing. But yeah, I didn't see that coming in that game. You did. You picked the Seahawks. I remember.
That's why
in that game. But man, that was
this was a
moment.
crazy year of football. I mean, you know, and that to me was the start of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Slick, I can't wait to hear yours, man.
It was my moment of the year. It wasn't a good moment for me, but it was a crazy moment. Just to touch back on what Drew was talking about when the Jaguars came back and beat the Chargers. Like I wasn't happy that they beat the Chargers, but the way that they did it, it was crazy. It was definitely crazy. Like just all the memes, all the videos, and everything that were made off of that. How I forgot the one video where a Charger fan went to sleep because the game was so boring to him, and he woke up and his friend woke him up and was laughing at him.
I see so many TikToks where they're like waking the guy up and they're like, "Yo,
hey, look,
game's over. They lost."
That was a crazy moment. Like that was a crazy moment, and because like the meaning of that game, like it wasn't just a regular Sunday night or a regular Monday night game. Like they made some noise with that game. I give them that one.
No, I thought for sure one of you guys was going to pick the greatest comeback of all time, so I stayed away from that. But that was. I feel like none of us picked that one because we kind of expected it from the Colts too. Like we weren't shocked that the Colts gave up freaking 33 points to the Vikings. It was shocking that the Vikings came back. But my moment of the year, I'm going to double down on the Dan Campbell piece. But Detroit going into Green Bay in Week 18. So Prophet, you start off with Week 1. I thought my moment of the year, and it was just kind of wrapping up that crazy year that anything could happen. Right. The Detroit Lions to go into Lambeau Field where Aaron Rodgers, who's been the boogeyman for them, with a playoff spot on the line, to go in there and snatch their soul in Lambeau and just knock him out of the playoffs and just look at him like, yeah, you're going to have to deal with us next year. I thought that was awesome. That was my moment of the year, was Detroit beating Green Bay to knock them out of the playoffs. Now, this one's going to be fun. We got one more of these bad boys. We have had a lot of good things, but the biggest disappointment of the year, and I'm sure that we could go on and on about this, and I can't wait for it. But Drew, since you're the biggest critic, and I love hearing your
biggest disappointment of this podcast.
I need to hear your biggest disappointment of the year.
I had one, and then I'm like, literally 30 seconds ago, I'm like, damn, maybe that's the biggest disappointment. So I don't want to ruin it yet. So I'll touch on my second biggest disappointment at the end in case nobody else hits on it. My first biggest disappointment is the Indianapolis Colts as a franchise. All right, I take that back. Let me reel that in. I mean, you got a team that comes in here. All signs point to last year. They're a quarterback away. They go out and they get Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor. You expect to be the best running back in the league, and he comes out and lays an egg this year. Frank Reich gets fired. I don't know if it was justified or not. Whatever. Oh, Jeff Saturday comes in and let's see what he can do. Well, he won his first game and then lost every game there after that. They were embarrassing. And I think that they were my biggest disappointment of the year. You could have gone a couple different ways with this. Prophet, you're throwing your hand. So if I actually did throw your pick or take your pick, I'm sure you got about 45 seconds to come up with another one.
We'll go with Slick, and so Prophet can remember where we're at. Let's go with Slick.
For me, I'm pretty sure a lot of people disagree, but for me, I feel like the biggest disappointment of the year was the Buffalo Bills.
Talk about it.
I just feel like they underachieved. Like all the hype coming into the season, preseason, based off of what they did last year, and Josh Allen's going to do this. They're going to come back. They got Von Miller. They did this, did that, this. Like they played good ball this year, but it was a lot of games. Like I feel like it was kind of like borderline that they possibly could have lost. But the defense or something happened that ended up helping them win the game. And on top of the fact that they didn't beat the Bengals to advance to the division championship once again. Yeah. Like,
good job,
I just feel like they underachieved.
Yeah. Dude, that's a really good one because I thought about that when we talked in the preseason, and all the national media, by the way, everybody was all over the Bills. They got Von Miller now, like they're not going to have this thing. We can't wait to see an AFC Championship game with Mahomes and Allen. It's going to be Allen. There were so many preseason picks that had the Bills in the Super Bowl. So yeah, you're right. Like they fall short yet again. That's a great pick, and that's not a super obvious answer too. Slick, I really like that.
That was a good one, man.
Yeah, who you got in this one? Did you in fact have the one that Drew stole from you?
Yeah, I did. I actually, my biggest disappointment was the Indianapolis Colts offensive line, and that just kind of spiraled out to everything with the organization. I mean, bringing Matt Ryan in, they knew they needed, if they were bringing him in, that they needed an offensive line to protect him because he's not going to run away from trouble. And they thought they had their guy, and that O-line just, I mean, it hurt Ryan, it hurt Taylor, it hurt the receivers, and it hurt the defense. It hurt the whole organization. It's a shame because in the AFC South, they had as an easy chance to be in the playoffs if they had just played somewhat decent, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I got a 1A and a 1B to this, and I really thought long and hard about it. My 1A is going to be the Raiders, and the reason why for them, big disappointment. They went out, they got Devontae Adams. You think that offense is going to be humming. They had to deal with a lot of injuries, but my biggest thing for them, as far as them being a disappointment, was that they blew 4 double-digit halftime leads to go on and lose, right, in those games. Like double-digit halftime leads, you go on and lose those games. That's big time, and that's why you're seeing Derek Carr out of there. They're going to make some changes in there. And the other one is the Denver Broncos and really Russell Wilson. They gave up a freaking king's ransom to go get him. Yep. And for them to win, what was it, 5 games? Yeah. And you can talk about coaching, whatever. Russell Wilson did not play well at all this year. Did not look like himself or whatever. So those two guys right there is just the big disappointments.
Yeah, I was going to go with, now I'll touch on a couple honorable mentions. I was going to go with the Broncos too, but I didn't for obvious reasons because I knew I was touching on them at a different point of the show. My other one, I got 2. The other one was the Bears. I did expect more out of the Bears this year, a little bit. And then the other one was Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. We got to get rid of it.
Oh, man, yeah, that was...
We got to get rid of it.
That was bad. That was bad.
We got to bring it back to television.
NFL Network.
Yeah, it is bad. Well, guys, we got a big game this Sunday, and we talked about
that. That was good. That was a lot. Give yourselves a round of applause, man.
Let us know what you guys think. If you guys have something, send it out to us. That was awesome.
That was fun. It
was awesome, Drew.
Good debate.
It was a great debate. The best one, my biggest disappointment was Justin Fields as a Rookie of the Year, bro. That was
Rookie of the Year.
That's so. What threw me because you're right. His rookie year he didn't start. Trubisky did, and he ended up taking over. This year was his first year starting.
Okay,
you had him as comeback player of the year. You meant
it was.
That's what. So yeah, you're right. It wasn't.
You just had him in the wrong spot.
I had him in the wrong spot. That's all it was. I knew that there was something to it. I had to give him a chance to explain himself. Man, it's my boy right there.
It felt like he was a rookie this year. Like we didn't really see much of him last year.
Eating potatoes right here.
Oh man, this is a big one, and I know the time. We're having some great content here, so I absolutely love it. I'm not worried about it. We got our Super Bowl.
Larry.
Wow.
Wait, hold on.
That's too soon, bro.
Wait, I gotta tell before we get into this. Larry just it reminded me of something. We all know that I won the playoff pick'em pool, right? So I won the $20.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So me and Larry, we came to a little gentleman's agreement here, and I gotta find it here. So instead of just taking the $20, because I'm a respectful man and humble, and I don't want to do that.
Wow, humble and humble. I don't know,
guys.
Will
you let me finish? Let me finish. I said I was humble.
When we get a sentence through.
You guys, I don't know. What you say? You guys don't get a cent.
Yeah, I'm just go ahead.
Listen,
Drew.
Take the floor.
That's why I got the highest paid contract on this podcast.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, Slinger.
We got me and Larry. We got a little double or nothing contest going on.
Okay.
So we got the winner of the Super Bowl and the overall points within 5 points, and we got a little double or nothing going on.
I like it.
I'm not just gonna take the $20 because that was like stealing candy from a friggin' baby from youth.
Wow. Larry, you hear this?
And then
taking candy from a baby,
humble.
he says.
Humble.
And should you win the $40, you're going to donate it to your favorite charity, right?
No. that could buy me 40. Well, it used to be able to buy me 40 eggs. Now it might be able to buy me 4 eggs. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, get some of them Amish lottery tickets.
Yeah, there it is. Amish lottery tickets.
All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl. Let's go.
All right, Super Bowl 57. We got the Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I really wanted to dive into this because this, not only, I mean, it goes without saying, it's the biggest game of the year. But what's really intriguing about this matchup to me is that it's two really different styles of football between the two teams, right? Kansas City gets it done, high flying, great quarterback play. You got Travis Kelce really being the star of that offense. And then that defense of Kansas City really kind of goes under the radar, but they do enough to win football games. Then you look over to the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're really balanced. They run the ball a lot more. They're a really physical football team. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they really get after the passers. So it's really contrast to how Kansas City goes about it defensively. And it's really an intriguing matchup because that's going against Kansas City's strength. So I can't wait to really dive into this and talk through it. But let's start it off with Drew. And I really want to hear like a matchup that you're kind of looking at, something that you're really excited to see in this game, and overall how you're taking a look at this game and what do you expect to happen. So Drew, take it away, man.
Am I taking it away for the whole time, or am I just talking,
no,
a matchup that I'm excited about?
Just your piece of what you think is going to go on.
Yeah, I mean, like the one matchup that I am most curious, I think, to see on Sunday is the matchup between the Kansas City offensive line and the Eagles defensive line.
Yeah.
All right, because so much is being made about this Eagles defense that they're so dominant and they attack the quarterback and they put so much pressure on him. With Mahomes not being 100%, I'm sure the week off probably helped him. But with Mahomes not being 100%, we saw that last week. I mean, we saw him. Yeah. He wasn't 100%. He's not as mobile as he usually is. That offensive line in Kansas City needs to be able to hold up to the defensive front of the Eagles for him to be productive. Because there are going to be times when that pocket is going to be collapsing on them, and is he going to be able to step up, climb the pocket, and find receivers? I think with the guys that the Eagles got on the edge, dude, Reddick was you could talk about Reddick as a player of the year candidate for defense. Like he's in the mix right there. Like he's just having a phenomenal season. Like how are the Chiefs offensive line going to be able to handle the Eagles front seven? And I think that's a big matchup for me that I'm going to be watching on.
I really like that, Drew. And the biggest thing for me is you don't have to look back that far to just a couple years ago when Kansas City played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what happened? Patrick Mahomes had a lower body injury with his foot. He was unable to move around that much, and that Tampa Bay front was able to cause a lot of pressure, and it caused fits for him. He wasn't able to move around and do some of those things. So fast forward 2 years, he's going to have that same type of problem in this football game. So it's going to be interesting how healthy that ankle is, because it's a good thing that he's had those 2 weeks. He was really hobbled in that Bengals game. So we'll see how healthy he is, especially if somebody gets down around his ankles there. Yep. So I love that matchup that you have there. We're not going to get to the picks just yet, but Slick, what matchup are you most excited for when you look at this? What do you when you look at this game and the matchup between the two teams, what are you really thinking that it's going to be a critical point in this game that's either going to win or lose for one of these teams?
I think the quarterback play. I mean, of course, the D-line and the O-line is, like Drew said, it definitely plays a big part of it, just because it starts with them up front. But I think the quarterback play, I feel like
excuse me,
whoever has the better game, I feel like that's who's probably going to come out with the win. I mean, yes, I've been saying Eagles because I'm rooting for my ex-coach, but at the same time, like I just like the way Kansas City plays ball offensively. I mean, I'm a receiver, so I just like the way they play ball offensively. I think Kansas City is going to win, but for me, it's the quarterback play. Like you said, it's two different offenses, two different teams in general.
Two different styles and how they go about it, right?
Two different styles, but both of them, when they're on top of their games, like both of them can like definitely kill you. Like they can hurt you.
Yeah, no, I like it. Prophet, when you're looking at this game, so we're talking a lot about the trenches. Drew was talking about the offensive line and the trench warfare between the defensive line of the Eagles and Kansas City, how they're going to handle that. Slick's talking about the quarterbacks, and that's really when your average fan turns on the game, that's what they're seeing is the quarterbacks making the plays, and two different styles there. So what are you looking at in this one? What's a matchup that you got your eyes on in this game that's really going to be critical for each one of these teams?
My big matchup this weekend is the Eagles receiving corps going up against that young defensive backfield of the Chiefs. They are vulnerable. The Chiefs D-backs. The question I have, I honestly think that AJ and Smith and Goddard are going to all have big games, so long as Jalen Hurts, so long as this is not too big of a night for Jalen Hurts. It's his first time in the Super Bowl. If he can get rid of them jitters early, that's the matchup I'm looking at, because I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball too well against this team. They're going to have to throw the ball.
Okay. I really like that point that you bring up about Jalen Hurts. I touched on it briefly when we talked about the championship weekend, but let's not forget, Jalen Hurts was benched in a national championship game for Tua Tagovailoa, and Alabama went on to win that game against Georgia. Jalen Hurts did not play well in that game. I'm not saying that he's snake bit in big games and things like that, but that is something to keep your eye on, especially he's a young player. This is a big stage, right? Patrick Mahomes has been there. This is his third. This is the first for Jalen Hurts. So that is always something to kind of keep your eye on, especially, that kickoff goes, you got all the flash bulbs, and then you go down on offense. And when does it become a football game for you? And the earlier that it is, I do think that run game helps him do that. I think there'll be some design runs early to help him get hit and feel like he's in the game. Well, boys, I got a couple matchups here. So we talk about storylines. This Super Bowl has a bunch of them. Andy Reid was the head coach for both of these squads. You got the Kelsey Bowl. You got the brothers going against each other. But my biggest thing here is it's going to be a high-scoring game. I really think so, because Philly has the third highest scoring offense, and Kansas City has the top scoring offense. Now, my matchup that I'm really looking out for, and I think that it favors Kansas City, is Travis Kelce. The Philadelphia Eagles don't really give up a lot of points to tight ends. In fact, they've only given up 3 touchdowns and an 80 rating to tight ends throughout the course of the year. However, they haven't seen a threat at tight end like they have in Travis Kelce. And I do think that there is a weakness there. I think we'll see C.J. Gardner-Johnson most of the time trying to take Travis Kelce away. But also it's that Philly rush offense versus the Kansas City rush defense. Prophet, you brought this up. You don't think that Philadelphia is going to be able to run the ball as well. And the biggest matchup that I see there is Chris Jones. Chris Jones in the middle of that defense for the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be big.
And he had a pick.
And he had a pick. But here's the thing that it's really tough to say, oh, well, this is what Kansas City does against running backs, or this is what Kansas City does against mobile quarterbacks. This is really a different type of offense. The stat that I want you guys to pay attention to in this football game is going to be how Kansas City handles the run-pass option for Philadelphia. Kansas City right now is tied for 19th in the league, giving up 4.7 yards per play in RPO type of plays. So that bodes well for Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts running the ball. I've been seeing in the chat here about Miles Sanders. It's really, really difficult to defend multiple things, and I think that's going to be big, but Chris Jones is going to be the centerpiece of how they defend that. What do you guys think about that?
Prophet.
I agree. I agree with you there. And again, like I said, I really do not believe that Philly's going to be able to run the ball. I mean, they're going to run the ball because that's their game.
Yeah.
But I don't think Miles Sanders is going to go off for $120 or Gainwell or and.
What about Jalen Hurts? Like, I think if they're going to run the ball, I think Hurts is going to be the guy, in my opinion.
And he could have a decent running game, 50 yards, which would not be a bad game for him. But I honestly think it's going to come down to him having to throw the ball and whether or not he can make the completions. Now, you touched on Travis Kelce. I don't think Kelsey's going to be as integral part of this game as everybody's saying. I mean, I really think the Eagles are going to shut him down this week.
They have to. And the thing about Kansas City, the reason I think Travis Kelce is a big time matchup in this, Mecole Hardman's on IR, right? Like they're really beat up. Schuster's hurt. So it's got to be, like, if Kansas City's going to do something, I think he's got to be one of those guys. You got Clyde Edwards-Helaire that I believe will be active for this game going in there. I didn't even know that Melvin Gordon was on the Chiefs, by the way. He could potentially get elevated before the game, which would be kind of
They're not
crazy,
receivers, though.
That's
right.
No.
I mean, Sky Moore is going to have to come up big this week
Is Schuster
to
out?
help him. No, he's hurt though. He's questionable.
He's questionable going into it, so they haven't announced that.
And Tony is questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are questionable that stay on that injury list. I mean, Tom Brady was questionable every game of his career, I think. But no, really,
I think
honestly, he was always on the injury list. But we don't know the severity of these injuries and how it'll affect the
Tony
game.
might not play.
Yeah, no, I know. I think I'm pretty sure he's legitimately hurt. But without giving too much away, I know Brandon had talked about being a high-scoring game. I don't see it. I'm not predicting that this week or for this game. So
in high scoring, I could see like upper 20s to like lower 30s. I don't think in the 40s. But
what is the over? Does Prophet know the over?
49.
It's 50.
49 and a half, 50.
I thought I saw one was 50 and a half, and I think I saw another one was like 49 and a half. So it's right in there, which is on the higher end, isn't it? Like most of the time, 50 and a half.
And the last 5 Super Bowls have been low scoring. I mean, and they've been high numbers too, like this week is.
I would think that would bode well for the Eagles then, right? If it's going to be a lower scoring type of game, the Eagles probably have a better defense, at least in my mind. Yeah. I would say that might be.
You're talking about matchups. Here's another matchup that a lot of people are talking about, but for the wrong reasons. It's the Andy Reid versus Nick Sirianni matchup. Okay? And the whole headline is, Andy Reid fired Nick Sirianni. Andy Reid didn't fire Nick Sirianni. Andy Reid didn't retain Nick Sirianni when he got the head coaching job in Kansas City, like 99% of the other coaches do. Yeah. When you take over a new program, a program that has been notoriously awful, you clean house and you get rid of everybody. It's not a personal vendetta against Sirianni, but it's a good storyline. Okay, so I get it. They're running with it.
When you got 2 weeks to talk about it.
Right, but the matchup between Sirianni and Andy Reid is going to be the chess match, because this game is going to be a dogfight, and I don't think this game's leaning one way or another. And I think it's a true pick'em in every sense of the form. It's a pick'em game, and the chess match between Sirianni and Andy Reid is going to be a great storyline to watch unfold as we're watching Sunday's game. Does the experience from Andy Reid trump the enthusiasm and maybe innovativeness of Sirianni? I don't know, but I gotta go. Where do you go in that situation?
Well, let me ask you, kind of on that topic and kind of talking through like what Slick had talked about, that it's between the quarterbacks, right, and the play calls. So just the style of what Kansas City does and drop back, I think it's 60+% of the time. Like they don't really focus on the run. They do just enough to try to keep you balanced.
Yeah,
but that kind of plays in the favor of what Philadelphia likes to do, and that's rush the passer. They have 70 plus sacks on that defensive front. How do you guys foresee that? Like, I feel like that's not a good matchup for Kansas City and what they like to do, because it's right into the teeth of what that Philadelphia defense likes to do. So I mean, I'm looking at that game and I'm just like, man, I can see it really, Philadelphia's D-line kind of teeing off, but I do think it comes down to how Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy dial up some of these plays to keep them honest, right? Like, what do you guys think about that? Because I look at it and that's a big thing, and just the style of play between these two teams. That's kind of strength versus strength.
I think you're going to see the Eagles, do what Cincinnati didn't do 2 weeks ago, and that's blitz Mahomes to see just how he is. Get him scrambling around.
Get him off his spot.
Yeah, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, BP. High ankle sprain, man. The fact that he came back the following week is absurd. You're talking 3-4 weeks with a high ankle sprain in most situations.
I thought he'd be a statue back there, and to see him kind of scramble around and do some of the things that he did. Now, like, we don't know the severity. We just hear high ankle sprain. I mean, it could be a grade 1 or whatever. It's like you were talking about. You had one, and you were able to come back, and it wasn't fully 100%, but you were able to kind of do some things. But yeah, I agree with you. I will say Patrick Mahomes against the blitz is phenomenal. You take one extra guy to bring towards him to get him moving around. That's one less guy that's covering his weapons down the field, and he's really, really deadly in those type of situations. Slick, I know that you were going to say something when it comes to the style of these two teams here, and it's really being strength versus strength, where Kansas City likes to throw the ball and Philadelphia likes to go after that passer. What do you foresee? Like, something's got to give there, and you mentioned Kansas City. You kind of have favored in that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Like you just said, of course, Philly's going to be physical, whether they send blitzes or just their D-line in general. But Bieniemy and Reid, I just feel like this won't be the first time that they faced a team that throws that type of stuff at them. I mean, of course, everybody doesn't have the type of front or the type of defense that the Eagles has had this year. But, I mean, pressure is pressure.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is probably replace guys with quick game, screens, whatever the case may be, which falls into Kansas City's type of play anyways. That's when they start using their backs more with swing passes or anything like real quick or misdirection stuff, to where they're leaking out Kelsey or leaking out the other tight end. I don't think it's – I mean, of course he'll get pressure, but I don't think it'll be anything like crazy or anything we haven't seen before.
Let's play a fun game real quick. You ready?
I'm ready.
EP.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts or Pat Mahomes?
For what? Like MVP or just like who I would
Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes.
Profit. Eagles receiving core versus Chiefs receiving core.
Eagles.
Slick. Travis Kelce versus Dallas Goedert.
Kelsey.
Drew, Eagles defense versus Chiefs defense. Toss up. This game is so damn tight. You can go one way with one pick and another way with another pick, and I think it's really shaping up to be. If this isn't a good game, I'm going to be very surprised. I'm going to be very surprised, man.
This is going to be a slobber knocker.
It's going to be a good old fashioned slobber knocker.
We've gone through some of the matchups that we're looking at, and how we're
send them straight to hell.
we're looking at some of these matchups and all that. So it's time for us to make a pick, right?
It is.
So let's start off with Drew. You kicked us off with the matchups that you like and all that. So what do you foresee happening in this game? Who do you got? And for Larry, we need a score. We need the score in this game, guys.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man. Excuse me.
It's getting all choked up.
I'm getting all choked up. Let me take a little sip of my beverage.
Now,
here.
Drew,
we're not sponsored yet, by the way.
Not yet. Coors Light right there. Now, before Drew, you make your pick, I just want to remind you are within 30 minutes of Philadelphia, right?
It's been awful. It's been an absolutely miserable 2 weeks. And BP, I will give you this. For as much well, you're an Eagles fan in red, so I don't really care. But like,
I'm not an Eagles fan in red. But
for as much as I was busting your chops, you are. For as much as I was busting your chops, I was praying. Well, I don't pray, but I was hoping so much for the 49ers to win because I did not want the Eagles to be in this position. Yeah, I didn't want the Eagles to be here. The past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks have been awful here. But whatever. Listen, you guys got my breakdown of the game. You got a couple of my matchups here that I'm going to be watching. I think it's going to be a really great game. I see Kansas City winning this one by a score of, it's going to be like 24 to like 22, something like that. I got KC 24-22.
Is that by late kick by Butker?
I don't know I don't know what it is. It's just my premonition that came to me.
Slick. I'm excited to hear what you got for us, man. The way that you're looking at this game, and you already kind of let the cat out of the bag. You think Kansas City's going to win. What do you think that score is going to look like? What do you got going on in this?
It's crazy.
Larry's got me.
I feel like I don't think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think both of them are going to put up points, but I don't know. Score is kind of hard to say. I say 42-35.
Damn.
Golly.
42-35 KC.
No defense.
I think it's going to end up being. I think we've been focusing so much on the defense, and I think it's just going to be a shootout. I think somebody's
It could be. It really could
I think whoever wins is definitely going to come down to the quarterback play. But I think it's going to be one of those games to where someone makes maybe 2 stops and the other team made 1. I don't think
I can see that happen.
A straight defensive game the whole night.
I can see that happening, and I'm not going to give myself away, but I think you remember back with the Eagles.
But who?
He says KC. KC.
Oh, KC. Okay.
We got 2 KCs. Do you remember when Philadelphia and the Patriots played, and it was really one defensive play? You know, Brandon Graham gets that strip sack for a turnover against Brady. They kind of won that game for them. It could be something like this where it's back and forth, and then one play really kind of turns the tide. Prophet, I can't wait to hear who you got here.
Well, 2 Sundays ago after the KC game, the line came out. KC was a point favorite. I jumped all over the Eagles, hoping to maybe middle things if I change my mind on the game, but I haven't. I like the Eagles this weekend. I think they're going to win on a late second Jake Elliott field goal, 30-27.
Ooh, 30-27. I like that score a lot. Philly. All right.
You know what's crazy? I'm choosing KC.
But you're rooting for the Eagles?
Yeah, and
so you can't lose.
A bracket that I filled out. I chose for the Eagles to win. If the Eagles win, I think I win like $500. Because like it went all the way. Like everybody that I chose, it went how it was supposed to go.
Well, that's good.
That is good.
Take it, KC. If you lose on the show, you'll win $500.
Man. So just looking at this game,
have Justin Fields.
You always have Justin Fields. Hey, that's going. We talked about
that's going in next year's season and review show.
It is absolutely. We're gonna have. Hey, what happened in the off season?
Well, then I don't have anybody then.
And then that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So just like you, Slick, except I'm reversing this. I think Philadelphia is going to win this football game, but I'm kind of rooting for KC because Philly ripped my heart out 10 days ago. I think Philadelphia has a more complete team in what wins football games in this point of the year. That's a really tough defense that gets after the quarterback, and that's a physical running game that is going to keep you balanced. You have to honor it. Whether they have a good game in it or not, you have to respect it. And I just think that puts them over the top. They have playmakers on the outside. They have a playmaker at quarterback. They have a playmaker in the backfield. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. I got 31-28 Philly winning this football game. I think it comes down to Patrick Mahomes is going to have an opportunity at the end, and I think that Philadelphia pass rush is going to get a turnover against Kansas City, and that's going to seal the deal for Philadelphia to win their second Super Bowl championship. So, Johan, you can officially, after this week, you can answer your phone after the second ring. I still wait for the 5 for me. Okay,
Wait.
so there's that.
Can we revisit? You just picked the Eagles, and you were all but calling the Eagles absolute fraud of a football team after they beat the crap out of your Niners.
we can dive into that. The thing that's changed.
You calmed down. You came off the
It's
the
the
whiskey.
matchup.
It was
It's
the
a
whiskey
matchup.
talking.
No, it's a matchup.
After they romped your Niners, you said the
Hey,
Eagles
listen,
are a fraud. I
say-
can't wait for them
we
to get friggin' ruined by the
It's a
Chiefs,
matchup.
Blah, 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 blah.
It's a matchup. It's an absolute matchup because
All right.
what Philly is really, really good at is what Kansas City likes to do. And overall, when you take a look at the overall scheme of things, this is kind of a matchup that Kansas City does not want to be in. I think Philadelphia can match them physically, and I think they have multiple ways to beat you. Kansas City's beat up. They got a quarterback that's on one leg, so to speak, and he's going to be running. He's going to be running around because that Eagles front is going to make him do that. I think this is a great matchup for Philadelphia in this game. But yeah, kind of through the course of the season, I like San Francisco in that matchup. I stand by it. We'll never know of what happens if the quarterback stays healthy because I do like San Francisco in that matchup. But this matchup here, this is a nightmare matchup for Kansas City. And I can honestly, we have a close game here. There is a world where I think Tampa Bay Kansas City game happens again, where Mahomes can't get going, where he's running around and he's not healthy, and he's looking around for guys to make plays, and his receiving core is hurt, and Travis Kelce is going to be going off, and they can't rely on their run game. I can foresee something like that happen. Will it happen? I don't know. I want it to be a close game, and I think it will be. But there is a world where I think Philadelphia really leans on them, and Kansas City can't handle what the Eagles are putting down. So I really do think Philadelphia is going to win this football game. Larry's got a doozy for us real quick. Serious question. Anybody interested in the XFL? Does that kick off this year?
Yeah,
Is it the first year of the XFL?
Do the cheerleaders still wear thongs?
USFL, second season.
February.
Do cheerleaders still wear thongs?
Hey, that was a thing,
Jerry
right?
Lawler, this isn't friggin' 1999 anymore, right?
Doesn't
Hey, that's
Rock-
what it
isn't
used to
Rock,
be.
The commissioner or the owner of
Yeah,
that
Rock,
league, of
Rock
the
owns
XFL?
it. Dude, I'm always interested in football, man. So if it's on TV, I'm definitely gonna watch it. But
Absolutely. So we
Saturday,
got
Saturday, February 18th, it kicks off, huh? That's an important date for me because that's the date of South Jersey Card Show 4, hosted at Cherry Hill East High School from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
I love it, man. I love it. Oh man.
Oh, hot shot of the week. God, man.
Boom. We got 2 picks for the Eagles. We got 2 picks for the Chiefs. I'd expect nothing less coming from this group, but it's time. We got our hot shot of the week, Super Sunday. Let's start it off with, we're going with Slick. Don't tell me it's Justin Fields.
No, my hot shot of the week goes to us, the crew. Just for, I know we've spoke on it before as a group, but just looking back where we started at from the first show all the way to now, the fact that this was my first time ever doing a podcast. You've had your experience with podcasts. Drew has his experience with podcasts. OG, I'm pretty sure you have too.
Nope.
No.
Oh, so well, this
I
is
just
your
learned
first
how to
time with
use
me.
a computer.
But just how all of us were able to come together week in and week out and just display a good show for everyone. And just kind of like, it wasn't forced, it wasn't pushed. It was, everybody did what they did and everybody was themselves. And I feel like we had a successful season or year, whatever you want to consider it as. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what we could do with it going forward.
I'm with you, man. I can't believe the first year. I can't believe we're at the Super Bowl
Cheers.
already, man.
Cheers, brother.
And Jeff, listen, we're going to be doing this show. I think we've talked about it. We're going to be doing the show year round. we're going to have to fill the time, and I'm a big baseball guy myself, so don't go too far from the backyard blitz here, because it might become the backyard sandlot, So
Hey, I might have to bust out my Red Sox stuff, man. I'm telling you, I love that, Slick. I just to kind of piggyback off of that is. This has been awesome. Like we came together and really put this together. We put a lot of thought in it. We put a lot of research into it. It's been fun. And it is, you're having fun when it just flies by, right? And this season just flew by, and it's because every Wednesday I look forward to talking to you guys, laughing with you guys. Drew giving me a hard time, hearing what we got from the Prophet and his one-liners, man. There's so many times like I just go back and listen to that stuff, dude, because it is so funny. But that's a hell of a hot shot, Slick.
Yeah, no, it sucks too, because like you said, like it's it went so fast, man. The season's already over.
Fast, man.
The season's already over. We've been doing this for 22 weeks now.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. And
this Sunday is the greatest day in sports, but yet it's the worst day in sports too.
Yeah, because it's over.
It's over until August, man.
I know, man.
Crazy.
Football, of course, has got the longest layoff time too.
It does.
I'll go into my hot shot here.
Yeah.
My hot shot goes out to my 14-year-old daughter. Some of you guys might have seen on my social media. Her report card came out yesterday, freshman in high school. 3 honors classes, French 2A, which is unheard of to me, all A's and B's. She's an excellent soccer player. She plays on the high school soccer team. She plays on a very competitive club soccer team where she's traveling all over the country. You guys might have remembered my adventures out to North Carolina and stuff like that. My first hot shot goes out to Kay, man. Love you. Love, watching you grow and, the person you're becoming. And then the second hot shot goes to Daly's Cocktail Catering. Daly's Cocktail Catering, your mobile bartending service here in South Jersey. We just booked our biggest event to date. I booked a 400-person wedding today down in Cape May over the summer. We're talking mega bucks here, man. I'm excited, and maybe I got a new job, bartender and podcaster.
That's awesome, man. I
don't have to be a
that.
secretary anymore.
Congratulations.
I haven't even started the secretary position yet, but I don't have to be a secretary anymore.
Hey, congratulations on that. 360 people at this?
380, dude. 380 people. I'm nervous as hell. I don't know how I'm going to staff it. I don't know.
Drew, we're going to have to talk about getting some flyers out for the backyard blitz, at that party, just having a little something. Hey, I'll also do this off to the side.
I talked to the bride and groom. They said they got people flying in from Thailand, England for this wedding. They're coming from all over the place, so we can go global with this thing, man.
Yeah. Prestige worldwide. Why? First word in entertainment. Prophet, what do you got, man?
Well, BP, this story comes from your neck of the woods. You might be familiar with it. I
always get nervous when somebody says that.
No, I mean it lets us all know that there are good kids in this world still. So we might have a little bit of a chance. My hot shot is Joe Salmon. He's a 17-year-old wrestler, football player, and track athlete from Des Moines, Iowa.
You said my neck of the woods.
Well, I mean, it's a lot closer to you than me.
Man, we're the other one. We're the other state with an I.
Yeah, right. I. But at any rate,
that's great.
I mean, I got a whole story here. I'm not going. 17-year-old kid Saturday, he was out ice fishing, and there was a Jeep on the ice that fell through the ice. An 83-year-old man was in the Jeep and his dog. This kid went running across the ice and dove into frigid water to save the guy and the dog. And just how many of us would do that? I mean, I'd like to thank all of us, but hey, you're out there ice fishing. That water's pretty damn cold, and he was under the water pulling an 83-year-old man out of a Jeep that was submersing into the water. I mean, my hot shot is you, Jeff Salmon. Congratulations,
awesome,
buddy.
That's a good one.
That's what's up.
So I was racking my mind of where am I going to go with my hot shot of the week? And then, lo and behold, right before the show, I got my gold. And that gold was my hot shot of the week is the Prophet. Because he told me what he's been doing all day. He's killing zombies on his Xbox 360. I can't believe it. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud of you. It's very Prophet. You're my hot shot of the week, man. Playing some Xbox 360, bro.
He's killing zombies. Left 4 Dead.
Tell you what, Left 4 Dead, man. There you go. Hot shot of the week. It's you, Prophet.
Listen, if he ain't friggin' betting horse racing, he's shooting zombies and doing podcasts.
No wonder he's so damn happy. I mean, we need to take some lessons from this guy. In all
Life is
seriousness,
good.
boys, this freaking... I'm sad that the Super Bowl is going to be gone after. You're right. Super Bowl Sunday is like a holiday for me. It's like Christmas. You know, you wake up, you get all excited for it. And then it is sad because then it's over and you're like, damn, it's really over for a long time. But you know what? We got free agency coming around the corner to see how these teams start to retool. We got the draft. We're going to have a really great draft. Spectacular for everybody. Like what Drew mentioned, this is the Backyard Blitz. It doesn't mean that we have to talk football all the time. We're going to go through it this summer. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff. We hope that we guys keep you guys entertained, informed, but the biggest thing is that you guys have fun listening to us and we keep the laughs rolling in. So I can't wait for all that stuff, man. The other hot shot should be the shirt for Still Fit Me, man.
Can I just add to that? Like,
We don't know
let's
that.
be honest.
Slim fit.
Let's be honest here. We had one game to talk about. We're at an hour and 40 minutes, and it's been a pretty damn good show. We're not going anywhere, so
Not
stick
going
with
anywhere.
us, man. Just because
Absolutely.
football season ends doesn't mean we're ending. So stick
doesn't.
with us here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that being said, you guys, we can't wait to break down what happened in the game next week. See what your favorite commercials were, so let us know. But until then, playoffs, Super Bowl. You're trying to win a
Would
game?
you guys say something about me like getting a lot of sentences in or something earlier? I don't know.
Yeah. It's like we're trying
Yeah,
to get
something like that.
Yeah. I'm humble.
Think of it.
I don't know what you guys
Yeah.
are.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta look at that word
I went to
real quick.
Humble State University.
You ain't conceded. You're convinced.
Convinced.